Welcome once again to Let's Talk Marriage. This is Pastor Larry coming to you this Wednesday afternoon with Let's Talk Marriage. All right. Hope everyone is doing well. If you woke up this morning, you are doing well. All right, happy New Year to each and every one. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. It's a very special time of the year. Everybody gets in the Christmas spirit, which you should be at all year long. But however, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and looking forward to a prosperous New Year. Now, with Let's Talk Marriage, this year we're going to be covering some different topics, and I'll research some different topics, and we're going to be going over some different things. But right now, we're going to start out our year with you working on yourself. You can't be an effective Christian, you can't be an effective minister or any aspect of the gospel without working on yourself first. And this year we want to start out working on ourselves. We want to leave all those things, the negativity from last year. We want to leave that behind. I know a lot of us suffered losses in the year 2022. In the last couple of years, there's been a lot of losses with family members, friends, and things of that nature. So we can't forget it. I wouldn't dare tell you to forget about it, but we want to leave that in 2022, and we're going to move ahead. We're not going to forget it, but we're going to move ahead because if he brought you to it, he can get you through it. So what we're going to do is we're going to be making sure we focus on ourselves in the beginning of the year, and also forgiving people. Let's just leaving negativity in the past. If you've forgiven someone, don't keep bringing it up. You might not be able to forget it, but don't keep bringing it up. Because there's certain things, depending on what it was that you went through, you're not really going to forget it, but you're going to get past it. And you're not going to keep bringing it up, because when you start bringing it up, then you're going to start bringing up all those old feelings. So make sure if you've forgiven your spouse for whatever reason, if you guys had arguments, if you argued a lot, or you weren't getting along in the year of 2022, make sure you set a goal this year to resolve all those issues that you had in your marriage. If you need closure on different things, make sure you bring those things to a closure, old flames and things of that nature, because sometimes that can be a hindrance in any marriage. So make sure we get rid of that. And by all means, I've mentioned all year in 2022 that if you need to get some kind of counseling, make sure you get that counseling, especially if you want to move forward, because some people can't move forward because they're constantly looking in the past or dwelling in the past. Make sure you get the help that you need and work on you. Again, you can't be an effective Christian, you can't be an effective saint, you can't be an effective child of God if you have not worked on yourself. That's why a lot of people slip back into their old habits, their whole old things, because they don't work on themselves. And unfortunately, sometimes a lot of ministers tell people they're delivered when they're not delivered. They need to be worked on. There's things that they need to address from their past. And if you have things in your past that needs to be addressed, you can't move forward, and you can't be an effective child of God. So make sure that what we're doing in this year 2023 is taking care of yourself. Then that way you can be more effective. You can be a more effective mother, a more effective father. You could be a more effective spouse, more effective child of God, a more effective minister, preacher, teacher. You'll be more effective if you work on yourself. Make sure you work on yourself, and then you can before you work on other people, because we always want to work on other people. You've got some issues. You might have some issues also. So make sure that we are getting the help that we need in 2023. There's nothing wrong with sitting down, talking to a third party, even if it's just your pastor, especially if you have and I've always said that all through the year of last year, if you have a good pastor that's a good listener and he gives good advice, he has good experience, especially those pastors that you find pastors that's been married a long time. Those are the ones that you seek out when you want to get some kind of effective counseling and concerning marriage. Make sure you look for those pastors that's been married a long time, that've been out there, they've been through what you're going through, and there's nothing new that they have not seen or heard or done. Make sure you check with them, and sit down and talk with them. If you feel more comfortable with talking to someone that you don't know, like a licensed therapist or something, or counselor, make sure you do so. And some of the churches that need that, if you don't have it in your church, make sure you reach out to a sister church or another church that might have that program, and just send your members over there. Say, hey, we have a program there's a program at this church where you can deal with. And those that are dealing with habits, make sure that we're trying to address those habits. And the way to address those habits is not to ignore them or say that you don't have one. The way to address the habit and to get over that habit is to admit that you have one. Those are negative habits that you might have. Make sure that we are loving on our wives. Again, husbands, make sure you're loving on your wives even more in this upcoming year. Make sure that we are loving on our wives, and make sure we set a date. I'm going to be doing that myself. I'm going to set aside a time where my wife and I just go out, just the two of us, or with another couple, at least once a week. I'm going to make sure that we do that no less than once a week. Even if it's just, to the store or something like that, make sure that you're spending quality time with each other, and make sure that we're loving on each other. And gentlemen, make sure that we are practicing our etiquette as men, opening the doors, or chivalry. That's the word I was looking for. Make sure we are practicing our chivalry. We're opening the doors and pulling out the chairs for our wives. You can easily forget about it, especially if you have one of the wives that walk way up there and they hear see the word sale, they'll beat you in the store. So you can't open the door for them because they're already in there. So make sure that whenever you remember that you practice that, make sure you get your wives flowers, and if they like candy, get them that. Make sure that we are romancing our wives. Make sure we make it a point for 2023 to romance our wives. Make them feel special. Make them feel loved. Make sure that they feel needed. And wives, make sure that you appreciate your husbands. Don't take them for granted. Don't overwork them. Overwork them, that's a good word. When he, especially if he's a hard-working husband, don't overload him when he get home. I need this done. I need that done. You said you were gonna do it this weeks ago. Make sure you allow him the opportunity to volunteer to do something. You'll find out that it'll get done faster if you allow him to volunteer. I'll take care of that. If he say he's going to take care of it on a certain day at a certain time, or after he finished eating, let him finish eating. So when you going to do that? No, let him finish eating. If he sit down and just happen to doze off or fall asleep or something, don't start nagging him. Just make sure that you appreciate anything that he does around the house, and don't make it seem like you live here too. Not because as soon as you say that, then it's going to start a whole nother argument. So make sure we are focusing on that in this upcoming year. that we're into right now. And again, happy new year to each and every one of you. We're looking forward to some great things here on Let's Talk Marriage. We're going to be, I'm thinking about at least once a month, maybe picking a time and a day and going live. If I go live, it probably won't be on a Wednesday. I'll probably do it on another day at 7 o'clock or something like that. Because I have church on Wednesday night, so I'll probably be picking another night, at least one night out of the month, or out of every quarter maybe, that we go live and taking some questions and relationship questions and things of that nature. So we're looking forward to having a good time this year on Let's Talk Marriage. And we, again, Happy New Year to each and every one of you. And again, I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. And it's just so awesome. I had a beautiful Christmas, spending time with my children and family. It's been wonderful. God has been so good to you. And besides that, it's Jesus' birthday, not yours. So if you didn't get anything, oh well. It's not your birthday anyway. But we're gonna make sure that we focus on our families this upcoming year. I remember there's a show years ago that used to be called Focus on the Family. So we're going to focus on our families, on our marriages, and making sure that we are loving on our wives. And wives, make sure you love on your husbands. Don't take them for granted. Husbands, don't take your wives for granted. Make sure that we are doing what we're supposed to do as men of God, men and women of God in our marriages. Again, make sure, because chivalry is not dead. And most of the time, we know chivalry as men. It's just that in this hustling, bustling of the world, the things that are going on, we tend to forget about it, Excuse me. We tend to forget about it, but make sure that we stay focused on that and make sure we're complimenting our wives. I try to make sure I compliment my wife, and she might think I do it too much, but I don't think I do it enough to compliment, to encourage our wives, because they do a lot. Women do a lot. I'm telling you, they do a lot more, because men, we might go home, go to work, come home. If you're retired, you have your things that you do, and it's still not as much as women do around the house, especially if you have a virtuous wife. If you have a virtuous wife, she's constantly on the go. So make sure she's allowed her rest, and make sure that you remind her to get some rest. I got this. Make sure that she's not doing the things that you should be doing, like taking out the garbage. Make sure you do all that. We're going to make sure that we focus on our children this year, spend some time with them. And it was good to see my sons. They were all over at the house for the holidays. We had a beautiful time. So make sure that we are focusing on the family this year. This is Pastor Larry. I'm going to be signing off until we meet again. Again, like I said, any music that you might hear on Let's Talk Marriage is from a app called Whoop Triggers Plus. You can find it on the Apple Store and the other. I can't never remember the other program. There's the Apple Store and then the other one, the one with the Samsung phones. I can't remember that. Anyway, you can find it on that app too. It's called Whoop Triggers Plus. It's a wonderful app that has pre-recorded music that you can use for your church services, for churches that might not have have musicians or can't afford to pay musicians, because nowadays being a musician is a career. It's always been a career. It's a wonderful career. If you happen to be a musician, make sure you stay humble. But the churches that don't have it or can't afford it or just getting started, you might want to download Hoop Triggers Plus, and you can use it with any kind of Bluetooth speaker. Like if you have a Bluetooth PA system, then you'll be able to play it in your services and as a background. You can even back the preacher with it. So it's a wonderful app. Again, this is Pastor Larry. We're going to be signing off with Let's Talk Marriage 2023. Until we meet again, this is Pastor Larry saying goodbye and God bless you.